Good evening. I would like to welcome you to the August 27th, 2024 meeting of the City Plan Commission. Before we begin, I will outline the procedure that we will follow for our public hearing. As each agenda item is called, the applicant or his or her representatives and persons for the request will be allowed to speak. Then persons against the request will be allowed to speak. If there is opposition to the request, the applicant will be allowed to make a short rebuttal. All persons wishing to speak need to come to the microphone at the front of the room. Please state your name and address for the record. All statements made should be relevant to agenda item and be limited to 3 minutes. If there are several persons in favor of or opposed to a request, we encourage you to allow 1 to 2 persons to act as a spokesperson for the group. If you like a spokesperson for a group, may request that the group stand and be recognized. While public discourse is very important to the Commission, we have to maintain order in the meeting so that all persons may be heard and city business may be conducted. If so directed by me, the Sergeant at Arms shall remove from this meeting any person while addressing the Commission or while attending the Commission meeting who is making personal, impertinent, or slanderous remarks, who becomes boisterous, or makes unauthorized remarks from the audience, stomping of feet, whistles, yells, or similar demonstrations. The Commission members have reviewed each of these items in a previous work session. The recommendations we make tonight to the City Council will be based on the work session and the information provided by staff, as well as any additional information presented tonight. After completing the hearing on each item, the Commission will consider action on the item. This action taken tonight on all items, excluding plats, will be in the form of a recommendation to City Council. The City Council will also conduct a hearing on all items, excluding plats, which will be held on Tuesday, September 24th, 2024, in the Bosque Theater of the Waco Convention Center, 100 Washington Avenue. The record and recommendation of the Plan Commission and new testimony will be considered by the Council at that time. The first item on our agenda is approval of the minutes of our July 23rd, 2024 work session and business meetings. Are there any changes or additions? Seeing none, they stand approved as written. The first item on our agenda tonight is case number SUB-24-21. What is the recommendation of city staff?
Mr. Chair, members of the Commission, this is a request for preliminary plat approval of the Steinbeck Estates addition. This property is located in the city of Waco, being 10 acres of land. The property there is currently zoned R1B, and the plat consists of one phase and includes 39 residential lots. Upon review of the plat application, staff recommends approval with conditions for the preliminary plat of Steinbeck Estates addition.
Thank you. Is the applicant or his or her representative here to speak on this item? Is anyone else present who would like to speak for this application? Or is anyone present who would like to speak against this application? Seeing none, we will close the public hearing, and at this time we will entertain any discussion or a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move to recommend approval with conditions based on staff findings.
Second.
I heard a motion from Mr. Embry and a second from Mr. Ingram. Please poll the commission.
Yay. Yes.
Lane?
Yes.
Lozano?
Yes. Yes.
Cole? Oh,
Absent this evening.
yep. Smith?
Yes.
Givens?
Yes.
The next item on our agenda is SUB-24-22. What is the recommendation of city staff?
Mr. Chair, members of the Commission, this is a public hearing to consider a request for preliminary plat approval of lots 2 through 18, Block 1 of the 5229 Estates Edition. This property is located within the City of Waco's extraterritorial jurisdiction. It is planned for approximately 1 acre residential lots. There is 2 parts to this request. The first motion we will have tonight is regarding a subdivision variance. They are requesting a subdivision variance, excuse me, on the block length maximum requirement of 1,000 feet and the length of a street terminating in a cul-de-sac exceeding 600 feet in length. Upon review of the request, staff recommends approval of the subdivision variance upon the following findings: that extraordinary hardships or significant practical difficulties may result from strict compliance with the subdivision ordinance regulations And 1, the effect of the variance will not be detrimental to the public safety, health, welfare, or injurious to other property. 2, the conditions upon which the requests for variance are based are unique to the subdivision under consideration and are not generally applicable to other properties. And 3, due to the specific conditions or topography of the site involved, strict enforcement of these regulations would impose an undue hardship on the applicant.
Thank you. And just to make clear, we will first take a motion on the subdivision variance only.
Yes, sir.
Is the applicant or his or her representative here to speak on this item? If you'll please approach the podium and state your name and address.
Good evening, my name is Jacob Bell with Walker Partners, 823 Washington Avenue, and I'm representing the developer tonight for this in support of this item and the subsequent item. If there's any questions, I'll be happy to answer them.
Is anyone else present who would like to speak in favor of this item? Is anyone present who would like to speak against this particular application? Seeing none, we will close the public hearing and entertain a discussion or any motion.
I move that we recommend approval of the subdivision variance based on staff findings.
I second.
We have a motion by Mr. Smith and a second by Ms. Lozano. Please poll the commission.
Allen?
Yay.
Yes.
Ingram?
Yes.
Yes.
Salome?
Yes.
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 And we'll now take up SUB-24-22-PP. What is the recommendation of city staff?
Mr. Chair, members of the commission, this is the preliminary plat for the 5229 Estates Edition, previously discussed. Upon review, planning staff recommends approval with conditions of the preliminary plat of lots 2 through 16, Block 1, 5229 Estates Edition.
Thank you. Is the applicant or his or her representative here to speak on this item? Is anyone else present who would like to speak in favor of this application? Or is anyone present who would like to speak against this application? Seeing none, we will close the public hearing and entertain further discussion or a motion.
Move that we approve with conditions based on staff findings.
Second.
I have a motion by Mr. Smith and a second by Mr. Allen. Please poll the commission.
Allen?
Yay.
Embry?
Yes.
Ingram?
Yes.
Lane?
Yes.
Lozano?
Yes.
Salome?
Yes.
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 The next item on our agenda is SUB-24-23. What is the recommendation of city staff?
Chair, members of the commission, again, this is a two-part request. The first is for a subdivision variance, and then we will act on the amended preliminary plat. So this is a public hearing to consider the amended preliminary plat and subdivision variance of the Far Paddock Edition. This plat also is located within the city's extraterritorial jurisdiction. The previous preliminary plat was approved in March 2024, consisting of 5 phases. They are proposing to combine 2 of those phases and add some additional property between the 2 phases. So with that, the amended preliminary plat will consist of 4 phases. The variance request is to the requirement for the improvements to the ingress-egress easements, Waco Subdivision Ordinance, Section 5.205H. Staff does recommend that the subdivision variance request concerning the requirement for the improvement to the ingress-egress easements be approved upon the following findings: that extraordinary hardships or significant practical difficulties may result from strict compliance with the subdivision ordinance regulations. And A, the effect of the variance will not be detrimental to the public health, safety, welfare, or injurious to other property. And B, the conditions upon which the request for variance is based upon are unique to the subdivision under consideration and are not generally applicable to other properties. We also are requesting the following conditions be tied to the subdivision variance. Number 1, further subdivision of the lots that increases the number of lots will require the construction of the ingress-egress easement. And 2, the maintenance of the streets will not be the responsibility of the city of Waco or McLennan County.
Thank you. Is the applicant or his or her representative present to speak on this item? Is anyone else present who would like to speak in favor of this item? Is anyone present who would like to speak against this application? Seeing none, we will close the public hearing and entertain discussion or a motion.
Quick clarification from staff, is this one recommended approval with the conditions or just a straight approval? I know we read some conditions on the record.
Yes, the subdivision variances recommend approval upon those findings with those two conditions.
Okay, then I move that we recommend approval with conditions based on staff findings.
Second that.
We have a motion by Mr. Smith and a second by Ms. Salome. Will you please poll the commission?
Allen?
Yay.
Embry?
Yes.
Ingram?
Yes.
Lane?
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Givens?
We will now move to the related item, SUB-24-23, with regards to the preliminary plat. What is the recommendation of city staff?
Mr. Chair, members of the commission, this is the preliminary plat, amended preliminary plat approval of Far Paddock subdivision, phases 1 through 4. Upon review, staff does recommend approval of the subdivision plat with conditions. I would like to note, however, that one condition from our utilities department did come in late and it was not included in your packet. And that is per sections 3.303E and 3.303A3, provide plans drawings showing how public well services all lots with water and add easements as required. So staff would recommend the conditions that were already included in your packet plus that one additional condition.
Thank you. Is the applicant or his or her representative present to speak on this item? Is anyone else present who would like to speak in favor of this item? Is anyone present who would like to speak against this application? Seeing none, we will close the public hearing and entertain a discussion or motion.
Move that we recommend approval with conditions based on staff findings. Second.
We have a motion by Mr. Smith and a second by Mr. Allen. Please poll the commission.
Allen?
Yay.
Embry?
Yes.
Ingram?
Yes.
Lane?
Yes.
Yes.
Salome?
Yes.
Smith?
Yes.
Givens?
Yes.
The next item on our agenda is Z-24-38. What is the recommendation of city staff?
Mr. Chair, members of the commission, this is a public hearing on a request from Shannon Malberg for a special permit for a short-term rental type 1 in an R1B zoning district located at 1312 North 22nd Street. Planning Services mailed out 32 notices and had 0 returned. Planning Services recommends approval of the special permit subject to the special provisions and conditions and based on the following findings. 1, the proposed use is consistent with the comprehensive plan. 2, the proposed use is compatible with the appropriate and orderly development of the area in which it is located. 3, that the proposed use would not be more objectionable to neighboring properties because of traffic, congestion, noise, fumes, vibrations, or any other characteristics than any use permitted in the zoning district without the grant of a special exception. 4, the available community facilities and services, including the road system providing access to the proposed use, are adequate for the proposed use. These findings are required for the granting of a special permit as per section 28-122 of the City of Waco zoning ordinance. Staff recommends the provisions and conditions noted under the special provisions and conditions, short-term rental type 1 section of this report.
Thank you. Is the applicant or his or her representative present to speak on this item? Is anyone else present who would like to speak in favor of this item? Is anyone present who would like to speak against this application? Seeing none, we will close the public hearing and entertain a discussion or a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move to recommend approval with conditions based on staff findings.
Second.
There was a motion by Mr. Embry and a second by Mr. Ingram. Please poll the commission.
Allen?
Yay.
Embry? Ingram?
Yes.
Lane?
Yes.
Lozano?
Yes.
Salome?
Yes.
Yes.
Cole? Oh, sorry, absent. Givens?
Yes.
The next agenda item is Z-24-32. What is the recommendation of city staff?
Mr. Chair, members of the commission, this is a public hearing on a request from Adil Zahir on behalf of Macmo Design for approval of a final PUD for planned unit development, gas station convenience store for property located at 2225 Ritchie Road, being approximately 2.40 acres out of the L Marble Survey Abstract number Waco, McLean County, Texas, and being part of that called 21.544 acre remainder tract described in a deed to LG Callan LLC recorded under clerk's file number 2016-032579 of the official public records of McLean County, Texas, and being a part of Lot 9, Block 1 of the Callan Village Edition, Phase 1C, recorded under instrument number 2018041310 of the official public records of McLean County, Texas, located south of the Callan Boulevard and Ritchie Road Street intersection, part of property ID 401305. Planning Services mailed out 9 notices and had 0 returned. We had 13 responses during the July 23rd, 2024 consideration of this item, 1 from within the 200-foot buffer. The item was continued at the July 23rd, 2024 Plan Commission meeting to allow discussion between the developer and representatives of the adjacent residential neighborhood. That meeting was held between the groups scheduled on Friday, August 23rd, 2024. Planning Services recommends approval of the final PUD based on the following findings and conditions. 1, the final PUD is consistent with the approved concept PUD plan conditions of the approved concept PUD plan and the requirements of the PUD ordinance. 2, the circulation plan, public facilities and services plan, preliminary architectural plan, and site development and landscaping plan included in the final PUD plan are adequate. Conditions are: 1, access to Callan Boulevard shall be limited to a single driveway at the time of development. The location and operation of the driveway shall be coordinated with the city's traffic department with the goal of minimizing U-turns on Callan Drive and providing cross-access with the remainder of the track to the west of the site. Adjustments to the Callan Boulevard median will be considered by staff to achieve these goals. 2, the facade of the proposed building shall incorporate similar materials, including stone and brick, to match those used in the new city fire station number 15, located at the intersection of Ritchie Road and Panther Way. 3, the store's hours of operation shall be limited from to 6 a.m. to 11 p.m. 4, fume reducing nozzle shall be installed at each gas pump. 5, boundary landscaping shall be installed along the Ritchie Road and Callan Boulevard frontages in accordance with Section 28-218C of the City of Waco zoning ordinance. 6, screening shall be installed along the rear property line in accordance with Section 28-219 and shall include a mix of shrubs, trees, and fencing consistent with requirements of this section. And 7, all site lighting shall be designed to minimize light pollution by being oriented to shine downward away from any adjacent residential developments. Photometric plans shall be provided at the time of the development to ensure the condition is met.
Thank you. Is the applicant or his or her representative present to speak on this item? If you'll state your name and address, please.
My name is Dylan May, 4325 West Waco Drive. Thank you for allowing me to be here today, and thank you for your service and to city staff for their help on this. We met with the neighbors, or some of the neighbors, last Friday. I believe we've resolved the bulk of their concerns as represented in the conditions, and just here if you guys have any questions for us about this. If not, I'll be here if any come up. Thank you, guys.
Is anyone else present who would like to speak in favor of this item? Is anyone present who would like to speak against this application? Yes, sir. If you'll please approach the podium and state your name and address.
You don't have the picture that you had up from July, do you?
I don't know if we have the ability to put it here, but we have some photographs available in our device here.
Robert Mock, 2000 Slocum Court, Lorena. My concern, and still is my concern even after hearing from the recommendation, is the entrance. I don't know if you guys are aware, and he said something about there is a medium, and crossing that medium to get into that, coming through Callan Village, the extra traffic that will be brought into the neighborhood for people to turn in, because if you're coming from the south, you're going to have to either do a U-turn to get in there, or you're going to have to turn into Callan Village and come back through. My other issue too is, again, is with, as they receive materials, 18-wheelers are going to miss that entrance. Either they're going to have to go to the four-way stop, do a U-turn there, and then turn back around, and then do a U-turn to get back into there, or they're going to have to cut through the neighborhood to come back through to get there. And, you know, I would just say that as somebody who's built a lot of restaurants around town for over the years, we look at plans and we look at things, and they all look great on a piece of paper. But as they get into development, we sometimes have to make adjustments. And this is something that got approved, 6 years ago? None of us were really aware of it over the total when we purchased in there. I don't know that it would have changed our mind a whole lot, but I think that the availability of customers getting in and out of that location will be difficult. I think it will create more havoc or more congestion in that area. And there was other lots on either side, further down, away from that intersection, and across and away from that medium, that would provide a much better access for a gas station. Okay, I mean, if it was something like an office building, something that does not generate a bunch of traffic, I think it's okay. But this is a convenience store that is going to generate, or has the possibility to generate a lot of traffic. And I don't think that, I think we have to look at the plans, look at what was approved and go, you know, maybe we need to tweak this a little bit. And if somebody to come in, and I don't know if you've seen, you can't really see on the picture, but there's a divider. You've got to go up and you've got to do a U-turn, or they've got to cut in another way, because there's still 2 acres behind it. And based off the pictures I saw, that is going to be, you're going to have to go to that end and turn around, or they're going to have to create a cut through, which I think from an aesthetic standpoint will interfere with the entrance to our neighborhood. So I really wish you guys would look at this, have them come up with some better suggestions. But an entrance to Callan Village, or the Callan Boulevard, I don't think it's realistic. And with the turnaround there, I don't think it's as realistic as it could be. Thank you for your time. I appreciate it, though.
Thank you, sir. Would the applicant or his or her representative like to make a short rebuttal?
Just really briefly, I just want to remind, I know everyone knows this, but the convenience store is allowed by right under the current zoning and the concept plan. We will definitely work with city staff on whatever we need to do from a traffic perspective, including if best practices deem doing a cut into the median. We're definitely willing to do that, but we'll work with staff and the traffic department to make sure that those issues are resolved as needed, and have worked really hard with the neighbors to address all of their concerns to ensure a first-rate product that still complies with the initial zoning of the concept plan. So thank you, guys.
Are there any questions from members of the commission?
Mr. Chair, according to this picture that I think Mr. Robert was referring to, it looks like there's a driveway coming off of Ritchie. Is that still correct? In addition to a proposed driveway from Callan?
That's correct.
So there would in fact be 2 different entrances?
There's one off of Ritchie,
Correct.
and then there'd be an additional one, ideally located as far back on that vacant 2-acre tract that's behind the location.
And a traditional traffic study was conducted and no major issues there?
I don't believe we had a traffic,
I guess
There was.
I know
Callan
the
Village
initial
did.
plan, if I can speak, the initial plan did have 2 ingress and egress on Callan Boulevard. In response to the traffic department's request, we removed one of those and left only one, which I do think is going to be important. I don't think you just want one entrance off of Ritchie. I think it's going to be important to have at least one off of Callan Boulevard for traffic flow. And again, we met with the traffic, or it was at the traffic department's request that we remove one of those after their review.
And am I correct in stating that the entrance off of Ritchie would only allow for ingress of traffic going towards Panther Way? Because there's a divider there on Ritchie, is that correct?
I think that like, everyone would be correct. The only time someone would need to come into Callan Boulevard is if you're coming left from Panther Way on Ritchie. You turn left
Think
onto Callan Boulevard.
Towards Chapel, towards the circle there.
Correct.
Okay.
And then you turn left on Callan Boulevard, and again, we're willing to work with traffic. I don't want to presume that traffic wants to do this, but if we need to do a median cut, we're willing to do that. I think that's why that condition was worded with some flexibility to work with city staff on what actually is going to be best for traffic patterns, but are willing to do whatever we need to do. But it's only, I think everyone will be able to come in off of Ritchie Road unless you are coming from Panther Way on Ritchie and take a left on, to come into the store.
And when you talk about a median cut, that would be with
On
regards
Callan
to
Boulevard.
whether it's Callan Boulevard or Ritchie Road or only?
What, I mean, we're willing to work with city staff as we need to. What we had agreed to was a median cut on Callan Boulevard
Okay.
as a part of the condition. But again, I don't want to presume that that's actually going to be best practice. We're just willing to do that if contemplating future development and working with the traffic department. If that's what they say is best, we'll do that as a concession.
Okay.
Thank you.
Other questions from commission members? Sorry?
Can I add to Mr. Meeks?
If there's,
Hearing still open?
yes, the public hearing has not been closed yet. Yes, sir, please approach the podium.
Please restate your name again.
Robert Mock, 2000 Slocum Court. And I can appreciate Mr. Meeks's understanding, but I don't think he truly understands the traffic in that area that's being provided by Park Meadows subdivision. Most of those people will be coming from the south up to the Panther, okay? Cross through Panther, go to where you would turn into Callan Village. So either they're gonna do a U-turn back into this, or they're gonna turn into Callan Village, go to the end, and come back around, go to the end of our medium, do the cut around, or they're gonna turn left at Ritchie, cut on Paddock Way, cut through our neighborhood, come through the back way, through there. And I would say with that Park Meadows subdivision, there's 1,000, 2,000 homes that D.R. Horton built back there. There's a lot of cars that come down that road, and most of them are coming from that south up to that intersection. So I think it's a little misleading to think that that's not gonna happen, because most of the people are gonna have to go through that four-way stop, do the U-turn to come back into that one cutout, or they're gonna have to cut into Callan Village and do the U-turn around our medium and come back to it, or they're gonna come through the back of the neighborhood, creating extra traffic through our neighborhood, okay? And again, like I said, I don't think they realize how many houses, how many cars, and as somebody who owns a business in that area, I see it on a daily basis, the number of vehicles coming out of that subdivision, okay? So there are a lot of houses there with a lot of vehicles, and there's a lot more still being built there, okay? Plus, you guys in our neighborhood may have 300 to 400 homes by the time they get finished. So you've got all of us coming out and then people wanting to do U-turns. So again, I think we look at plans on paper 6 years ago, they all looked really good. I think we have to readjust it. We have to think about it and go, hey, things in our community have changed a little bit. We may need to rethink how we do this. Okay, so I'd appreciate it if y'all would consider that. Thank you.
Quick point of clarification on that, sorry, sir. That would only apply to people that are leaving Park Meadows and coming that direction. I mean, if they were traveling the same direction but coming back to Park Meadows and stopping on their way home as opposed to leaving, they would not have to turn into
They would be
Callan.
able to turn right in there. They would not have to cut through our neighborhood.
Okay.
We wouldn't need that turnaround.
Okay, and any of the development that's closer over to Chapel and the roundabout, pre-existing development, pre-existing Callan Village and Park Meadows, people coming from that direction would not need to access Callan Village or Callan Boulevard, is that correct?
Well, if you're coming from that neighborhood that's in between Ritchie Road and the Midway Ag Farm, is that the neighborhood you're talking about?
Any development that's further over like the roundabout or chapel, anything that's on that side of things.
Right.
So further to the south of Callan
Now, I
Village.
guess it'd be north of Callan Village.
Yeah, I don't know which cardinal direction it is,
Coming
but
out of Callan Village. Anyways,
if you were coming
north
that
of-
way towards
Right.
Panther Way, they would not need to access Callan Boulevard going that direction, correct?
If
Okay.
If they came out that side though, they're still having to cross a 2-lane road to turn left. To do that. A safer thing for them to do would probably to go out the front so they can turn right instead of turning left on a busy road. Then they get up to that intersection at Ritchie and Panther. So what are they gonna do there? They're gonna go straight, go to Paddington, cut through our neighborhood to get to this convenience store, or they're gonna do what they could have done first, which was to turn left, is they're gonna turn right and then do the U-turn back into it, or do into the Callan Village and come back around. But none of that's been, that'll be, it's coming, it's just not there yet. But yeah, I mean, if they come out and go to the roundabout and do it, come back, then yeah, they just turn right into it. But there's far more homes to the south of us, the DR Porter neighborhood and whatever that other neighborhood that's right next to it. I mean, I think there's well over 1,000 homes in there by the time they get finished, plus the 300, 400 that's supposed to be scheduled for our neighborhood. Then you have all those people coming out and putting extra cars in our neighborhood would not be desirable. It just creates an interference. Thanks, sir.
Mr. Robert, I think the applicant makes a good point that the gas station's permitted by right.
Oh, I agree that they're permitted by right.
And, well, any facility, any business would probably want both these curb cuts, no matter what it is.
I'd rather they have 2 on Ritchie than 1 in our neighborhood, because then you've got us coming out and then people coming in and wanting to turn around. But neither one of them is desirable, because that's just a busy road, and,
On Ritchie wouldn't be that helpful with the divider currently existing on Ritchie, correct?
Well, there's probably spacing requirements for curb cuts. You probably can't even get 2 on Ritchie, most likely.
Depending
It's
on the
probably-
side of the property, yeah.
I mean, I can tell you, if you go down to SEPCO has the one out on Ritchie Road, where they tell everybody, you're coming out here, you gotta turn right. Even though they have 2 pretty close entrances, if you look at the SEPCO on Ritchie Road and Hewitt Drive, they have 2 very close curb cuts. So I don't see where this lot could not provide the same, where they could have both onto Ritchie Road.
Speak to that specifically, but I think that particular CEFCO might be in the city of Hewitt as opposed to the city of Waco. I can't speak to their requirements.
Yeah, thank you, I didn't consider that, but yeah, but they're 2 close cuts, I don't know what the city regulations are for, but, what is that street, 2 acres, 1 acre? Yeah. So I don't know how big the space is, but I would think they would have enough for 2 cuts. But I prefer that than to have one on the Ritchie, on the Capitol Boulevard. But I do understand that it's in, you guys approved it 6 years ago, whatever, so just something none of us were ever made aware of when we purchased there. It's okay. But I just think that we look at things, we make changes, and say, 6 years ago it looked okay. This year, it's not looking so great. So I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you for your commentary. We will now close the public hearing on this item and entertain further discussion or a motion.
I'm about to make a motion, but I'll throw a small discussion point out there first. It seems like the major concern here is traffic. I know that city will be involved in making sure that traffic is handled adequately. The applicant has made it clear that they're willing to work with the city to mediate any traffic issues as much as possible. So I trust that's going to be done. So with that said, I will make a motion that we approve with conditions based on staff findings.
Second.
We have a motion by Mr. Smith and a second by Mr. Allen. Please poll the commission.
Yay.
Allen?
Yay.
Ingram?
Yes.
Lane?
Yes.
Lozano?
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Givens?
Yes.
The next agenda item is Z-24-39. What is the recommendation of city staff?
Mr. Chair, members of the commission, this is a public hearing on a request from Dylan Meek on behalf of Brenner Campbell of Brenner Investments and Todd Freeze of Central Texas Food Bank on a request to change the land use designation from office industrial flex and open space to office industrial flex, and to rezone from R3B multiple family residence to C2 community commercial district located southwest of the intersection of Golson Road and Herring Avenue, west of Brown Lake, and on approximately 11.376 acres of a portion of Lot 1, Block 1 of the Golson 35 edition, in addition to the city of Waco, McLennan County, Texas, according to the plat thereof recorded in document number 2023-001664 of the plat records of McLennan County, Texas, and same being all of the tract of land described to Waco Phoenix Properties LLC and a warranty deed recorded in document number 2014-000737 of the official public records of McLennan County, Texas, part of property ID 414730. Planning Services mailed out 21 notices and had 0 returned. Planning Services recommends approval of the request to change the land use plan from office industrial flex and open space to office industrial flex based on the following findings. 1, the public infrastructure is adequate to provide for zoning districts allowed in the proposed mixed-use flex, office industrial flex land use designation. 2, office industrial flex designation is consistent with the surrounding land uses and other area properties that are already designated as office industrial flex. Planning Services also recommends approval of the request to change the zoning from R3B to C2 based on the following findings. 1, the proposed zoning is in keeping with the land use component of the comprehensive plan. 2, the public infrastructure is generally adequate to provide for uses allowed in the C2 zoning district. 3, the property meets all area and width requirements for the C2 zoning district. And 4, the proposed C2 zoning is compatible with the surrounding area uses.
Thank you. Is the applicant or his or her representative present to speak on this item?
I'm here wearing a different hat. We're helping out the Central Texas Food Bank on this matter. This is going to be a really dynamic and exciting product. I really appreciate the time that city staff and council members have spent with us on this, and I'm really excited about this. I'm just here if you guys have any questions for us.
Thank you.
I don't know if this is the time to ask this question or not, but is this a good time to ask a Public Information Act request for the attendance record of your chairman, Jed Cole? I notice he seems to be absent a lot. I don't know what I'm just kidding.
We'll speak with him directly.
Thank you. I appreciate that. That's a joke. Thank you, guys.
Is anyone else present who would like to speak in favor of this application? Is anyone present who would like to speak against this application? Seeing none, we will close the public hearing and entertain a discussion or motion.
Did we get any more feedback from the Carver Neighborhood Association after their meeting?
Just the questions, I think, pertaining to development of the property, traffic, floodplain types of issues. I think we were able to address some of that in the work session.
Yeah, but weren't they meeting tonight for their?
We haven't received anything from that.
Okay,
That's correct.
Okay.
I will follow up with them tomorrow, though.
We will make sure that they're aware of when it'll go to council as well.
Can we do the land use change and zoning change in one motion?
Oh, yeah,
Okay. Okay, then I move that we recommend approval for both the land use designation change and the zoning change based on staff findings.
Second. We have a motion by Mr. Smith and a second by Mr. Embry. Please poll the commission.
Allen?
Yay.
Embry?
Yes.
Ingram?
Yes.
Lane?
Yes.
Lozano?
Yes.
Salome?
Yes.
Smith?
Yes.
Givens? Yes.
I'll take a quick moment before our next agenda item. I think Mr. Meek's time before us as an applicant today is finished, so we just want to take a moment to appreciate your time as a public official of the city of Waco, and also as you're a private citizen, now your interest in the city of Waco as well. So thank you for that.
Second.
The next item on our agenda is Z-24-40. What is the recommendation of city staff?
Mr. Chair, members of the commission, this is a public hearing. I request from Hunter Harrell and Fisher Cannon to change the zoning from R2 two-family district R2 two-family and attached single-family residence district to O3 office limited commercial district on property described as approximately 1.358 acres of land, lots A, Block B of the OJTR Scooter Edition, recorded under instrument number 2005-040622 of the official public records in McLennan County, Texas, known as 3001 MacArthur Drive, Waco, Texas 76708, property ID 189389. Planning Services mailed out 46 notices and had 0 return. Planning Services recommends disapproval of this request to change the zoning from R2 to O3 based on the following findings. 1, the existing R2 zoning is more compatible with the existing single-family neighborhood and two-family zone properties than the proposed O3 zoning. 2, while MacArthur is classified as an arterial street, the property fronts on 32nd Fadal and McFerrin Avenues, which are classified as local and collector streets. 3, there's existing vacant commercial southeast of the subject property along MacArthur that would permit many of the uses permitted in O3. 4, the existing road network and adjacent residential uses will limit the locations and quantity of approved drive access to the parcel necessary to accommodate allowable uses within the O3 zoning district.
Thank you. Is the applicant or his or her representative present to speak on this item? If you would please approach the podium and state your name and address.
4315 Lakeshore Drive, Waco, Texas. We've got a deal under contract right now, pending this meeting, for a Dollar General in this piece of property. We think it'd be a good use of that piece of land. There's other commercial properties close by, as was mentioned. There will be, additional property tax revenue for the city and sales tax revenue for the city. And I'm just here tonight to request that. So that's it.
Thanks, sir. Is anyone else present who would like to speak in favor of this application? Is anyone present who would like to speak against this application? Ma'am, if you'll please approach the podium and state your name and address.
I'm Sonia Trujillo, 3100 MacArthur Drive. So we are in front of the vacant lot. I just want to know how this would affect our value, including like mine. Just our property tax is going to go up. I also want to know how the traffic patterns would be, since our house is in front of the lot. Where would the entrance be, on the side? Because we turn in, like, our house is on a hill, so we have to go up the hill here. Those are just my concerns.
Okay. While I don't think we could speak to exactly what will happen with property values, because there's many variables at play there, with the city staff, do y'all have anything with regards to traffic or how that would be handled in this area?
Yeah, I think that was a part of the recommendation why we are recommending disapproval, was speaking to the traffic concerns, relative to the commercial development and with, local streets, such as where the speaker's property is located. So.
Thank you. And I think what you had mentioned in those findings was that while MacArthur might be a large enough street to handle that kind of traffic, that the surrounding streets, McFerrin, 32nd, and Fadal, might not be. Is that correct?
That's correct. That's part of the staff's concern on this as well.
Mr. Chair, it is also finding number 4 that existing road network and adjacent residential uses will limit the locations and quantity of approved drive accesses to this parcel necessary to accommodate allowable uses within the O3 zoning district. So we're recommending not to approve.
Laura, what was that, number 4?
Number 4.
Any further questions? By staff for this
I would-
particular person?
Yes, Mr. Chair, to the speaker.
Sorry, ma'am. One more question for you, if you don't mind coming back to the podium. Sorry.
I was just going to say that the chair's right, we can't really speak to property values and what may or may not happen, but the applicant, that's what he does partly for a living, is talk about property tax values, so maybe y'all could team up after this if you were interested, and he'd probably be a better resource than we are. And I also, for the record, you're not opposed to the request, you have questions, is that correct?
Well, I mean, I wouldn't want like apartment complex there or like just a single building would be fine. That way we don't lose our privacy. But I can talk to him after.
Okay. Well, I think O3 does allow multifamily, so I think if that's your position, you would be against, for the record, you would be against the request.
Okay.
Cool.
And a question for the city staff, if approved as O3, are there limitations as to the hours of what could operate in that area?
That's correct. It's 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. There is an allowance if they seek a special permit. Again, that has to come through Plan Commission and then on to City Council for approval for that.
Thank you for that clarification.
And Laura, I don't mean to put you on the spot, but I guess I kind of do. But the request appears to be for the whole block to be changed to O3. And you've cited some of your reasons, the city's reasons, is because back there on McFerrin, 32nd, it's neighborhood roads, not great for O3. Would it be possible if the applicant came back with the front half being O3 so he could do his retail store, putting the frontage on MacArthur? There's some depth issues of this lot that he would have to consider, but instead of the whole thing, maybe he can fit a store on the front half where you have a feeder road. And maybe that's...
Yeah, he would have to resubmit an application if that was something that the Plan Commission is interested in considering.
Sure, but your gut reaction is it's a maybe?
We would have to send it back out for a review. I think you're still going to have the same traffic and access issues regardless.
1.29 acres?
It's 1.35 acres. Got access points from all four sides.
So Laura, when we talk about point number 4, finding number 4, it's the types of roads that front the majority of this parcel that would limit the kind of access that would be required for an O3 zoned parcel, is that right?
For all of the uses allowed in an O3 zone. We have to disregard that we know that it's a Dollar General.
Right.
And consider all the uses, including multifamily, retail, all those uses,
But you need-
restaurants.
Like multiple points of access on a certain kind of road, where this parcel is located doesn't allow for. Am I understanding that?
There may be
correctly?
distance requirements. It'll all depend on the uses that are proposed. Access gets addressed during the development side of it, but there may be spacing requirements. That's the main one I'm looking at, is spacing requirements for accesses along these roads and
Yeah.
the width of the accesses, et cetera. You know, it's all dependent on we just look at it very generally based on the uses. Multifamily development may have more restrictions on accesses because over 20 units, you may have to have 2 accesses. So
But we have to consider it.
all those uses.
Right.
Yes.
Okay.
Any further questions while she's at the podium? All right, thank you, ma'am. Would the applicant or his or her representative like to make a short rebuttal? Go ahead, sir.
It's not really a rebuttal, just want to fill y'all in. We looked at doing single-family lots on this property. It feasibly doesn't work out financially. We looked at doing what we can do in R2 as far as multifamily, that's a loose term. Again, feasibly, it doesn't work out financially. The numbers don't make sense. And then We also, I can't remember if it was Walker Partners or a different firm, but we went through a process to look at what we could do with it. And I think they had called out that there was some kind of detention pond that would need to be done, which doesn't really make a whole lot of sense to me because of where it is and what it is. I know cart before the horse, I can tell you what I have it under contract for. I know you'll have to consider all the uses of O3, but I just wanted to provide that as that's what we're looking at doing and wanting to do. It's not that we want to take any other use of O3, so.
Any further questions before we close the public hearing? Seeing none, we will close the public hearing and entertain further discussion or motion on this item.
I move that we recommend disapproval based on staff findings.
I second that.
We have a motion by Mr. Smith and a second by Ms. Salome. Will you please poll the commission?
Allen?
Yay.
Eldred?
No.
Ingram?
Yes.
Lane?
No.
Lozano?
No.
Salome?
Yes.
Smith?
Yes.
Givens?
Yes.
So we have, it passes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Okay.
5 to 3.
And as a reminder, it still goes to council for their next meeting.
That is correct. It'll go in September 17th, I believe. 24th, thank you, Will. September 24th. Oh, I was right.
All right, at the beginning of this meeting, in my packet, it said that the next city council meeting will be held on Tuesday, September 24th, which was a mistake. Instead, it will be held on Tuesday, September 17th, 2024. All right, so city council on the 17th. Everyone put it on your calendar now. The next item on our agenda is Z-24-41. What is the recommendation of city staff?
Mr. Chair, members of the commission, this is a public hearing on a request from Stephanie Wall for a change to the land use designation from industrial to mixed-use flex and to rezone from R1B single-family residence to C2 community commercial district for property described as approximately 3.067 acre tract of land situated in the Carlos O'Campbell Grant in the city of Waco, McLennan County, Texas, being a portion of Moco Properties LLC recorded and warranty deed with vendors lien under instrument number 201401854, of the deed records of McLennan County, Texas, also being a portion of Lot 2, Block 1 of the South 12th Street addition, recorded in instrument number 20100372231 of the deed records of McLennan County, Texas, known as 2003 South Loop 340, Waco, Texas 76706, property ID 357685. Planning Services mailed out 5 notices and we received 0 in return. Planning Services recommends approval of this request to change the land use plan from industrial mixed-use flex based on the following findings. 1, the public infrastructure is adequate to provide for zoning districts allowed in the proposed mixed-use flex land use designation. 2, the proposed mixed-use land use will provide services to existing industrial uses and future area uses anticipated after the South 12th Street expansion. 3, the property is located at the intersection of 2 major streets. Planning Services recommends approval. This request to change the zoning from R1B to C2 based on the following findings. 1, the proposed zoning is in keeping with the land use component of the comprehensive plan is recommended to be revised. 2, the public infrastructure is generally adequate to provide for uses allowed in the C2 zoning district. 3, the property meets all area and width requirements for the C2 zoning district. And 4, the proposed C2 zoning is compatible with the existing surrounding area uses and future area uses anticipated after the South 12th Street expansion.
Thank you. Is the applicant or his or her representative present to speak on this item? Is anyone else present who would like to speak in favor of this item? Is anyone present who would like to speak against this application? Seeing none, we will close the public hearing and entertain a discussion or motion.
I've moved that we recommend approval of both the land use designation change and the zoning change based on staff findings.
Second.
We have a motion by Mr. Smith and a second by Mr. Embry. Please poll the commission.
Yes.
Lane?
Yes.
Lozano?
Yes.
Salome?
Yes.
Smith?
Yes.
Gibbons?
Yes.
The next item on our agenda is Z-24-42. What is the recommendation of city staff?
Mr. Chair, members of the commission, this is a public hearing on a request from Rolando Rodriguez to change the land use designation from urban residential to industrial and rezone from R2, two-family and attached single-family residence district to M2 light industrial for property described as approximately 0.334 acres of land in the city of Waco, McLennan County, Texas, described as lots A and B, Block 1, J.B. Smith Edition, known as 1520 and 1524 Webster Avenue. Property IDs 189973 and 189972. Planning Service mailed out 31 notices and had 0 return. Planning Services recommends disapproval of this request to change the land use plan from urban residential to industrial based on the following findings. 1, the proposed land use could be considered incompatible with the existing low-density residential land use designations adjacent to the subject property. 2, the existing streets are not adequate for industrial uses. Planning Services recommends disapproval of this request to change the zoning from R2 to M2 based on the following findings. 1, the proposed zoning is not in keeping with the land use component of the comprehensive plan. 2, the area has been transitioning from industrial uses to residential and commercial mixed uses over the past 2 decades. 3, the lot sizes do not meet the industrial lot size requirement. 4, the property is located on a street not meant for industrial uses. 5, the industrial zoning is not compatible with the existing residential uses. 6, the property was rezoned in 2019 to R2 at the request of the property owners, which brought the property into conformance with the comprehensive plan.
Thank you. Is the applicant or his or her representative present to speak on this item? Is anyone else present who would like to speak for this item? Is anyone present who would like to speak against this application? Seeing none, we will close the public hearing and open this item for a discussion or motion.
Did the applicant know that you recommended disapproval?
They were made aware of that.
I move to recommend disapproval based on staff findings.
I second.
We have a motion by Mr. Allen and a second by Ms. Givens. Please poll the commission.
Yay.
Embry?
Yes.
Ingram?
Yes.
Lane?
Yes.
Lozano?
Yes.
Salome?
Yes.
Smith?
Yes.
Gibbons?
Yes.
As I believe that is our last item on our agenda, we will now adjourn our meeting.